All right, so now we're gonna go ahead and change the oil. Or I guess I've already drained the oil out last time. So we're gonna add some oil. Pretty simple. I'm gonna put some gloves on. And I'm gonna be using this Honda GN4 1040 SJ Pro Honda, which apparently is super fancy. Not that I'm endorsing them. And then we've got the new Honda filter and a little thing for the drain plug. So I'll climb under there and do that. And there it is. I want to make sure I have the right wrench so when I go to tighten it nicely. And I'm not really following my own procedure. I like to clean as I go, and I haven't been doing that. So, it's not an 18. It's definitely not a 16. What else do we have? Huh. 18 will work, but it doesn't seem to fit quite right. I'm gonna have a 17. Or how I got it off in the first place. You want to change this crush washer off of the drain plug, and I've owned the bike for, I don't know, over 20 years. I don't think I've ever changed it. I need to go find a 17mm socket or wrench. Make sure it's tight. Like you can see the gold wing over across the way. Spot for this. For now. Something big I learned from this whole process is to take pictures as you go, because I really had a hard time putting the bolts back in where they go. Maybe not a hard time, but I mean, I kind of figured it out. But it would have been easier. Where's it headed? Now don't over tighten this. Just enough to make sure it's there. I want to verify. That looks good. So I got a funnel, and now I'm going to put a little bit in the oil filter. Not too much, I don't want it to overflow. But, you know, just a little bit. Since we're not going to start it immediately, we want to get some in there. And what the manual says is it needs like 3.8 quarts, which is pretty much what this is, 3.785. So we're going to have to use all this gallon. If it's not full, I may have to go buy another quart. Maybe. Oh, yep, too much. Maybe it'll soak back down. I didn't necessarily want to fill it. I wanted to. Let's get some in there. Let's see. Yeah. It's kind of soaking back down in. I don't know if you can see that. Okay, good. It was actually the perfect amount. And again, I want to lube up this O-ring to get a good seal. And it just goes on to firm the bike. I don't think you need to see that. So I also brought over some brake fluid. So I'm going to take that reservoir off. Maybe. Where's the most level? It's like all the way up. It's the most level. And then I'll have to get down here and basically bleed the brakes. It's like bleeding the brakes. Looks like it's never been off. If you check out some of the other videos on the Goldwing, you'll see that immediately after I changed the oil on it, the clutch didn't work. So I was like, what do you mean the clutch doesn't work? And I thought maybe it was like a wet sump or something. No, it was a coincidence, but I had to bleed the fluid, which was crazy, and that didn't work. Then I ended up having to change the slave cylinder, which there's a video on that too, but works great now. So there's the oil. Now the oil, the engine oil and the transmission oil are all in one on this bike. There's only one place, and that's right here. And it has a fancy little dipstick, like Roscoe dipstick. Let's look down the hole. Nothing. You see that? So it's empty. I drained it all over the ground. So, let's put some back in. This place is becoming a regular motorcycle garage. If you look over here, my son's been working on this Suzuki TS250, and we're just waiting on a part for it. But that'll be coming up soon. And that'll be cool to get that thing going again. There's a previous video when I pulled it out of the shed. That's pretty cool. We're making it so it runs really reliably. Alright, got the funnel in place. So let's dump some oil down our gullet. Not too much. Let's give her a little taste. Make sure we don't have any leaks. I'm pretty sure that we won't have any leaks. But you never know. I don't see anything so far. It went down the hole. That's a good sign. Let's put some more in. One thing I did on the dirt bike is I put too much in. I think does it only take a quart? I don't remember. It's a lot smaller engine. But I remember I had to drain some out. And you can check that video out too. It's the Honda 450X, CRF 450X dirt bike. And that's, take a look in the videos, you'll see. So I'm going to be extra careful with this. I don't overfill it. But from what I understand, it'll take this whole gallon. Since it is for the clutch and for the engine. When I took the clutch cover off, it all leaked out. And then I had to hurry and get an oil pan over here. I wasn't planning on draining the oil at that point, but and it left me no choice. The oil that came out was dark, but there were no like metal shavings or anything like that. So that was nice. I'm not sure how many quarts the Goldwing took, and it's an 1800. This is 1000. So this should maybe be a little less. Although, having said that, with the transmission and engine being all in one, maybe it will take a little more. Here's the fluid I'm going to use for the clutch. It's just brake fluid, .4, so it'll be good. The lighting's not the best down here, so let's see. Still going. Should I go look on the other side, make sure it's not leaking out? Probably should. I tightened those bolts. I think if it were to leak, I wouldn't find out till it was running anyway, because it's not, well, hopefully it's not an obvious gigantic hole somewhere. If anything, it would be, maybe an old gasket or something, but I think it's good. Even though I know how an engine works, I still find it fascinating that it works. The internal combustion engine is old technology at this point, but it's amazing, I guess, that you could even get the timing right to do it on anything, let alone, new cars that just are almost flawless. They just work. I wanted to show you while we're waiting for this oil. In here is where, that was the bolt I had to get to. That's why I had to take the carburetors off, just to get to that, to put the nut on the other side of the alternator. And that's the starter above it. I had to take that out. And then of course the carbs and the air box. I'm guessing that's a coolant tank. That's the rear brakes, master cylinder and the fuses and et cetera, rear brakes of course. There's the cylinder head. I did order new spark plugs, which I'll be changing before I put it all back together. I'll put a new fuel filter in, and I bought this at the Honda shop, and I asked the guy how much it was going to be, like how much it cost, and that's when he answered me how much oil it takes. He said for a bike that old. It's like, are you trying to like get rid of your customer base, dude? Insult them? Yes, it's an old bike. In fact, it's what, 32 years old? Is that right? Yeah, 32 years old. Is that right? It's an 88. It was born in 90. It would be 30 years old. So, yeah, 32. I'm telling you, the bike's only got, I think it's 20,000 miles or less. I have to look. Not many, especially since it's been sitting for so long. That's it. We're out. And I could let the rest drip in a little bit, but that's it. Let's see how we did. You can see it, but it's not very full. Let's get the old dipstick in her. Take a look. Oh, look at that. Better than in the middle. Let's check. That, ladies and gentlemen, is about perfect, especially once it starts up. There you go. The next task will be to bleed the brakes and then put the carbs back on. I'm considering, barely considering, cleaning and taking them apart, but probably not. So putting the carbs back in, putting the air box back in, connecting all the hoses that I pulled apart, that I'm not sure where they go, which I get to figure out. I'll do a tune-up, and then we'll give her a start and see what happens. So, thank you for watching. I appreciate you subscribing. Thank you so much for subscribing. I really appreciate it. And stay tuned for videos on the Goldwing and the Suzuki TS250 dirt bike. And of course, you know what this channel is basically started for, the General Lee. We'll be doing some videos on that real soon. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.